Hey, what's up you guys? I'm Heidi Ray from Live in Free Flow, and this video is going to be about being a digital nomad in Odessa, Ukraine. So, it's kind of funny because I actually made two videos kind of a long time ago. I've already been here 2.5 months, and I made a video about 2 weeks into being here, and then I realized it's actually too soon to put out a video about it because I think I was still kind of like, settling in and really getting to know the city. So now after 2.5 months, I can confidently say I have a solid idea of what the vibe of the city is like. I arrived actually in middle of August, so I got to see kind of the transition from, the summer tourist season. That season gets really busy, and one of my local friends told me, actually the city, like the population is like ×7 or something like that during that time. So it really like kind of blows up with tourists around that time. And then towards September starts to be like a bit less touristy. But the weather was still gorgeous in September, and even now in October, I'm really, really enjoying it. Like, it's mostly sunny days all the time. It's only rained like a few days since I've been here. But the air still stays really fresh because you're by the sea and you always have like the wind coming through. So there's really been zero issues with air pollution or anything like that, which is something that I'm really concerned about. Especially, I lived in Asia for a long time, so there, air pollution is really like an issue, especially in the winter. So yeah, let's talk about Odessa. So I have to be honest, when I first arrived, I wasn't as in love with Odessa as I was with Lviv. Like Lviv, I arrived and I was like, it just felt like this, super cute, quaint, enchanted little, European center, and everything is like right there in the square. So it felt a bit easier to just kind of like drop into. And with Odessa, for the first 2 weeks, I was actually staying at a friend's house, which was maybe like a 15-minute walk west out of the center. So my first impression was like, it just feels like everything is so far away, and like, there wasn't really much happening in the neighborhood I was staying in. So, but then I later realized that was just the issue of location. So my first recommendation is, if you come to Odessa, just stay like either right in the center. The nicest area is like around the Opera House. The area is like absolutely gorgeous. That's the second Airbnb I stayed in for 1 month. Was I stayed right next to a restaurant called Gogol Mogol. You can look it up on Google. Amazing Ukrainian food, and I just love this location because it's like probably like a 5-minute walk to kind of this like walkway that's along the seaside. And then you have this like tree-lined street, right, like leading up to the Potemkin stairs. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but like the famous stairs, with the statue. And around there you have kind of like the nicer hotels, like the M Gallery and some other like 5-star, 4-star hotels, things like that. So the architecture is like so beautiful, and it feels really like, wow, like spacious and grand, and you have a bit of the sea view there as well. You're not like directly on the sea, you have to kind of like walk a little bit, but it's kind of like this raised area, so you have a really great view of the sea there. So yeah, I really enjoy that area, and definitely if you want to try some great Ukrainian food, I would really recommend that restaurant, Gogol Mogol. I would eat there like every other day because it was literally right next to my apartment, and I felt like it was like home cooking from like my grandma or something. The specialty here is like the vareniki dumplings. And you can get those, like, they come with like a side of sour cream and some, crispy onion and garlic on top, and like, so delicious. And they have those for vegetarians as well. So they had like either with meat or potato, or my favorite was with pickled cabbage. So yeah, that was really my favorite. Yeah, so and then another great neighborhood to stay in is the neighborhood area just right next to the what is the park called? I'm like blanking out right now. Shevchenko. The Taras Shevchenko Park, right? So this is like the biggest park that's like in the center. And this park is just gorgeous, especially now during the fall. It's just been like so beautiful, like, you know, with all the colors of the leaves. Like, it's like my favorite thing. And I live like just like a block away from it. So if you're working from home as a nomad, it's really like the perfect location because like I just walk out of my apartment. There's like tons of awesome little coffee shops and restaurants around, and then the big park, and it also kind of like connects with a pathway that goes to the seaside. Next to the there's like a resort hotel called Nemo that's right on the sea, and then right from there is like the first beach, kind of like the city beach, but right now it's just like perfect. During the summer, this was completely covered in, you know, the lounge chairs. You know, it was like packed full of tourists. But now it's just like, yeah, like a few locals will be hanging out there daytime, and the weather has been so gorgeous. You know, you can bring your picnic lunch and sit on the beach. I think there's still a few restaurants open, but yeah, I think from kind of mid-September, it started to get a bit cooler, you know, like it went down to maybe like 15 degrees or something like that, 15 degrees Celsius. So yeah, the weather got a bit cooler, and a lot of those like beach clubs and restaurants actually closed. But there's a few that just stay open all the time. Like there's a really nice kind of more upscale restaurant next to Nemo called Terrace. So if you're looking for like a nicer, fancier brunch or dinner or something like that, that place is gorgeous, and it has a really nice view of the sea. And then there's another restaurant that I really like on the seaside called Avocado. And they have a nice terrace as well. So it's a great place to go for sunset, you know. I'm pretty sure they're still even open now. I went maybe a few weeks ago and it was a little bit chilly, but they have blankets for you, you know, so you get to be all like cozy outside. Yeah, and another thing that I really love about Odessa is the health path. So the health path is basically this this long path that goes pretty much from that area that I was just talking about, like the Nemo Hotel and the Terrace restaurants. And it's a paved road, like tree-lined streets, and it just goes on and on. I mean, if you're on foot, you can probably walk for a whole hour from like the start of the path all the way south to the Arcadia beach area. And it's just so gorgeous. And there's like different paths. So there's like a paved path where you can bike and rollerblade or just walk. And then there's also like a lot of little side, excuse me, a lot of little side paths, like in the forest, and you can kind of go off path. And, you know, there's little trails that lead down to different beaches, like all along the way. So this was really like my favorite place to hang out. And since it's kind of like a long path, also, you know, you can rent, you know, those little Bolt scooters, Bolt, or there's a few other brands, Kiwi. As I'm sure you know, if you've gone to other European cities, this is like a big thing. Yeah, so the seaside area. So actually my favorite beach along the seaside, and there are many different beaches. So this is something that I didn't feel like was very clear in some other videos, or just kind of like, you know, looking at maps of Odessa, like I couldn't really tell, like, you know, is there like one beach area, or is it like Arcadia, the main beach area, or like, you know, how does it work? But actually all the way from like the city side, you know, from like the Nemo Hotel all the way down to Arcadia, there's beaches all along the way, and there's a lot of like really cool little hidden coves and things like that. So definitely I would recommend just coming here and exploring everything. But my favorite beach spots was called Dogs Beach. And the reason this was my favorite is because it kind of felt like the most spacious, and it was also like a bit wider. And also the water tended to be a bit like clearer there. Like maybe some of the other beaches, like on and off, you would have like, you know, like a lot of seaweed washing up on the shore, and Dogs Beach felt like a bit more clear. I think because it was like a bit more open. So it didn't give the seaweed a chance to all like collect there. And like the name says, you know, a lot of people would bring their dogs there. So if you like dogs, yeah, it's just a fun place. You could see all the dogs like playing around and stuff. But it's not like there's that many, you know, they don't like take over the beach or something. And another great thing about Dogs Beach is you don't have all the lounge chairs there. So it's just kind of like a public open beach where you just bring your own towel or your umbrella if you want to. And then just off of the beach is like a little like kiosk stand, you know, where they sell like beer on tap and snacks and maybe like a few things on the grill and everything. So it was a really, really cool spot. And kind of towards the evening, especially like end of August, you had a lot of college students like, you know, just like hanging out there and playing music, and it was just like a really, really cool atmosphere. Yeah, and then you have a lot of different like beach clubs, anything from like little shack that, you know, rents the little day beds or whatever, to kind of more like, I wouldn't say really high end, but yeah, like a bit more expensive beach clubs like Calaton and Ibiza, you know, the places that have DJs and play house music and everything like that. So there's really something for everyone. So no matter kind of like what vibe you're looking for. Oh, there's even a nude beach, which I was kind of surprised by actually, because I guess just kind of my preconception of Ukraine is that it's like a bit conservative. And then one time my boyfriend and I, we were just kind of wandering. We're like, oh, this looks like a nice path, you know, off of the health path. And then we look down and we're like, oh, that's a nudie beach. So yeah, like that exists also. And I'm trying to think of the location for that. I think it was pretty close to... Actually, I don't remember the name of the beach club. There was like a beach club kind of near the nudie beach. Yeah, anyway, I'll put it in the comments later for you guys in case you're curious. Yeah, we did check out Ibiza one day. It was pretty cool. They were having like a free daytime party. Well, free in the sense that, you know, there was no ticket for entry. But if you want either like a lawn chair or like a daybed lounger or something, you do have to pay for it. And I think it was like 600 Ukrainian for 2 beach chairs for the day, which is actually not really that much for such like a big beach club. I guess it's like probably around $20 or something like that. And the DJ was really good. The vibe was great. You know, we kind of heard some mixed reviews about the beach clubs, you know, that at nighttime it becomes like this meat market and whatever. But like, I don't know, we didn't experience that. Like daytime, it just felt really chill. Like you had all sorts of, you know, different groups of friends and people from everywhere hanging out together. So it didn't feel like that at all. And also like, here's like a little life hack that actually there were quite a few big DJs that played at Ibiza over the summer. Like Above and Beyond came, and also Ben Burmer and a few other big names. And we realized when we were at Ibiza, actually, you know, since it's like an open beach club, there's kind of like a pier right next to Ibiza that's like a public pier. So if you didn't want to commit to buying like a ticket to one of these shows and you just kind of want to like catch the vibe a little bit, you could actually just kind of like, there's like a little kiosk, you know, with like beer on tap. You could grab your beer and then hang out at the pier, which was just such a gorgeous spot. Also, like people even brought their own like, you know, kind of like blow up floaties, you know, and they were just chilling there, you know, having their drink or whatever, DIY party style. So yeah, so that's an option as well. Yeah, so I also actually stayed in the Arcadia area because I was curious to just stay there. and I had a bit of a gap in between my Airbnb that was over by the Opera House to my transitioning to my next Airbnb. So I was like, oh, why not? I'll just stay in the Arcadia area and check out what it's like, right? So, I mean, it's modern. There's tons of, these super modern high rises. That means there's also a lot of construction. So actually the Airbnb I stayed in was gorgeous. It was perfect, brand new. I think it was like on the 21st floor, nice view, but there was construction going on, like from a big building that was being built next door and within my apartment building. So obviously that was not very ideal since I only work from home, so I had to kind of, take my laptop out and find some cafes around the area, which was also actually not that easy because the area is really made for you take your car and you drive into the parking lot of your mega complex, and then you take the elevator to your apartment, and then you just get, it's not really made for pedestrians, I don't really see like a big reason why you would want to stay in that area. Like some expats I talk to here, they like that area because, it's one of the only places where you can get like a really modern apartment, with all the nice amenities, and they say the internet is faster there. But I mean, for me personally, I don't really like to stay in high rises in general. And it always felt like there was a ton of traffic in that area. So you have a bit of traffic pollution. And it's actually not that much closer to the sea versus like if you stayed in an apartment, just kind of more north towards the city center where you could just easily walk through this health path area to the seaside. So it's not like this area, like you stay in an apartment and then it's like you're right on the seaside. No, you're staying in this like mega complex, and then you got to go outside of your complex and walk like 10-15 minutes to Arcadia. And even in Arcadia, you got to walk through like some mall area and like whatever. So for me personally, it wasn't my favorite area, but other people really like it. So it really depends on kind of your preference and what you're going for. One really great thing about that area is there is like an amazing supermarket called Le Silpo. And Silpo is like a chain that exists like around the city, but this one is Le Silpo, which is supposed to be like the higher end one. And it's like just gorgeous, and they have the best deli section, the best fruit section, and all the, beautiful imported, foods and snacks and whatever. So if you're staying in that area, definitely check out that grocery store. Wow. So there's really so much to say about Odessa. Actually, I mean, as you can tell, I've been here for 2.5 months, so I clearly really, really loved it. Another big favorite part of the city is like just the architecture is so gorgeous, and it's not just like a small area like in the center. It's not like you just go to the main walking street like forget how to pronounce it, Dubrovsky or something like that. I'm probably saying that wrong. But yeah, like other cities, maybe like only the nice area would be like in the center, right? But actually that particular walking street is not even really my favorite. I mean, it's okay, but like, the restaurants that are along that street like feel like a bit more touristy, and it definitely feels like a tourist street, especially in like August and September. You have a lot of street performers, which is cool, some entertainment. But really like my favorite part of Odessa is more around the Opera House. And I don't know what the street is called. I don't know what any streets are called. But there's a street that kind of goes south, like from the Opera House, and just the buildings are so beautiful and well preserved. And that's really my favorite part, is kind of like, away from, that center area. Yeah, and I think one more kind of important suggestion that I have for you guys is that if you're going to be here during the summer months, which are July, August, September, definitely try to book your Airbnb ahead. because we booked ours like kind of last minute and there really wasn't much available. So I think just in general, maybe like Airbnb is not such a huge thing here yet. And also like the good places, they really get booked out. And also the prices go up a lot. So like right now for a 1-bedroom right near this Shevchenko Park, I'm paying $660. But like over the summer, the same apartment would have been like almost twice the price. Like this apartment would go for like $1,200 or something like that. And actually the apartment I had in August was, to be honest, not that amazing because there really weren't that many options. So it was a little bit like, it felt a little bit like a grandma's basement, kind of. I mean, it wasn't a basement, but like it had one kind of small-ish window, so it definitely didn't get a lot of light, but the location was amazing, so it was kind of a trade-off. But I think you guys can check out Airbnb and see what the options are, but there aren't really like that many amazing value apartments during that time. So yeah, definitely it would be good to book ahead, probably at least like a month or something, if it's possible. If it's not possible, you can always find something, but you might have to compromise, you know, the look and feel a little bit or something. And another thing to double check is if you're staying in the fall months, the city doesn't actually turn on the gas until like November, right? So the apartment that I was staying in last month, it said on Airbnb it had heating, but actually the central heating wasn't on yet. So it actually did get a little bit cold. You know, sometimes at nighttime it would be like 8 degrees, you know, so that was definitely not that comfortable. But my current apartment has 2 like, you know, AC wall units. And some of the other like, you know, nicer, more modern apartments, they have their own gas connection. So that would just be something to check with the Airbnb before booking. And also something in Odessa and in Lviv, if you're staying over the summer, to just double check that they have AC, because actually a lot of the apartments for some reason don't have AC, even though it does get pretty hot. So just a few things to check with the landlord before you book your place. All right, so a few other things I can say about Odessa is that, so in Odessa, people more speak Russian versus Ukrainian. So people say spasiba, пожалуйста, which are way easier for me to say than like Ukrainian thank you is дякую. Something like that. That's probably not correct again. There's like, you know, a very soft, specific way of saying that. So definitely ask some Ukrainians what the correct pronunciation of that is. But yeah, it was kind of interesting to see like what the vibe was in Odessa, because when we were in Lviv, we heard some kind of like mixed reviews and people were like, oh, I don't know, like we don't like the vibe in Odessa as much. But honestly, like I feel like it's just as chilled. You know, the people are super nice here. You know, of course, English is not like super widely spoken, but you know, if you go to, you know, kind of some nicer cafes and restaurants, you know, people always like speak a bit of English, and people have been like super helpful here as well. So language hasn't really been an issue. You know, I think sometimes I've heard, I haven't been to the doctor here, but sometimes like the doctors don't speak English, so you might need to get like a translator or something. But there are also clinics where people also speak English. So you can look on the Facebook groups or just ask for advice, you know, where you can go. You can always find someone who speaks English or hire a translator for the day or something like that. So that's not really an issue. Yeah, and the expat scene here, honestly, I haven't been too social. I've been a little bit like cocooning, and also I'm a musician, I'm a singer, so I spent quite a bit of time like recording some music here with a few friends of mine. We had some gigs around town, and the audience was like so amazing. I was just really like blown away at the response that we had here. So that was like really cool. because sometimes, like, I don't know, I've performed like some places in Asia, and like people just are kind of like, you know, they're not really paying attention. It's kind of just more like background music. But here people were really like you could tell like people really like love and appreciate like art and music. And if you're into museums, there's also like a lot of great museums here. I've heard, I haven't been to any museums. So if you're really looking to hear about like kind of the tourist attractions, I can't really say much about that, but I can say like as like a day-to-day lifestyle, like I really, really love Odessa. I mean, it's definitely a bigger, more expansive city than Lviv. So for me, it was nice to be here for like a longer period of time and really get to explore like all the different neighborhoods. You have a lot of different vibes to the city as well. So, you know, definitely not like the whole city feels like nice and upscale. You know, there's definitely some parts that feel, yeah, I mean, never unsafe. Like I never felt unsafe, but there's some neighborhoods where there's just, you know, less going on and, you know, kind of less nice restaurants and cafes to go to and things like that. So that's why I was really more recommending to stay in the center. Another really nice area is there's this kind of like long skinny park with like a market inside. It's called the Book Market. So all around this area also is like a really nice place to hang out, and you have some nice cafes like the Atelier cafe, Izzy cafe, if you like falafel, is really great. You have some buffets are pretty popular here. There's one chain called City Buffet around town. I can't say the food was like super amazing, but it is a great deal. Like especially if you're like, you know, going to lunch alone and you want to have like a few different options, you know, from all the different foods. So that is a place to check out as well. Yeah, so let me know if you guys have any questions about Odessa. I'll list in the comments like kind of all my favorites, you know, restaurants and spots around town. And also if you guys want to see some of my pictures from my time in Odessa, you can check out my Instagram at liveinfreeflow. So yeah, overall, I'd really recommend Odessa as a place, as a digital nomad, and I will definitely be coming back here. I really, really loved my time here. So thanks for tuning in, guys, and talk to you soon. Bye-bye.